All right, welcome everyone. We're diving deep today into something that could, honestly, change how you think about money. Like every dollar. We're going way past basic budgeting tips here. This is financial logic.
It's taking that logic, the kind we're supposed to use for the big life choices, and applying it to our money, which, let's be honest, most of us aren't so great at.
And our source material really digs into this. Financial logic, mastering the art of strategic money management. Catchy title, right? But imagine, like, sidestepping those purchases you always regret. You know the ones. Driven by pure emotion. Or not getting swept up in every hot stock tip that comes along.
Instead of all that, you're making decisions based on, well, your goals and actual data, not just what everyone else is doing.
Okay, so financial logic. Got to break this down. What's the core idea we need to grasp?
Okay, picture this. Someone's trying to save for a house. They know they should be saving, but they keep blowing their budget. Takeout, impulse buys, you name it. Financial logic isn't just telling them save more, duh. It's about rewiring how they think about every spending choice.
So less about specific tips, more about a framework for good decisions.
Exactly. Now, the source does talk about needs versus wants. But honestly, we all know that difference, right? Intellectually, at least.
Yeah.
The interesting part is why we still mess it up.
Yeah, like I know a new phone isn't a need, but the marketing, man, it makes it feel that way.
And that's where it gets juicy. The source talks about how companies exploit this. Our brains crave instant gratification, so they blur the lines between what we need and what just feels good right now.
Which leads to those impulse buys we regret later.
Exactly. Financial logic makes you pause,
Yeah.
analyze. Does this purchase, whatever it is, align with my long-term goals? Like, is this new gadget worth delaying my dream vacation? Tough questions.
Speaking of long-term, the source is all about shifting away from that short-term thinking, less YOLO, more where do I want to be in 5 years kind of thing.
And it gives a great example for this, the power of compounding. Saving small amounts consistently can grow like crazy over time, thanks to compound interest. Like, did you know that saving just $5 a day could potentially turn into, like, a 6-figure nest egg? Just from compounding, that's financial logic in action.
Slow and steady wins the race, the tortoise and the hare, financial edition. But the source goes beyond investing, right? It talks about risk being everywhere in finance.
Oh, absolutely. Not just stocks going up and down.
Yeah.
Let's say you're choosing between a fixed or variable rate mortgage. That's a risk assessment right there.
Weighing the potential good and bad before you jump in.
Exactly. The source calls this opportunity cost, acknowledging what you're giving up by choosing one thing over another. Like that daily coffee habit, what could that money be doing for you if you invested it instead? Especially with compounding working its magic.
Okay, long-term thinking, assessing risks. The source also talks about data-driven decisions, which honestly sounds a bit intimidating.
Yeah, it might seem like something for the financial gurus, but it's something we can all do. Think of it like using an app. Something like, you need a budget. It breaks down your spending categories so you see where your money goes, like a fitness tracker, but for your finances.
You know, I've always been a bit wary of budgeting apps. They just felt, I don't know, too restrictive. Do you think they work for everyone?
That's a fair point, for sure. The key is finding tools that fit your style. But the core principle is the same. Use data to make informed choices, not just gut feelings.
This is making me rethink how I do money, I'll be honest. The source really emphasizes the practical side, which I like. What are some of the key themes it explores?
Well, first up is budgeting, but with precision. The source goes beyond the basics, offers some tangible techniques to help you create a budget that really works.
Okay, less deprivation, more about being strategic with your money.
That's it. It's about clarity, understanding where your money's actually going. That awareness alone, that's a huge first step towards taking control of your finances.
Can definitely see the power in that. So what comes after budgeting in this financial logic system? So we've got the budgeting down, got to have a good system for that. What's next in this financial logic journey?
Well, once you have a clear picture of your spending, where it's all going, the source really emphasizes strategic saving. It's not just like, oh, save a few bucks here and there. It's about making it systematic. Ideally, even automated, just part of your financial life happening in the background.
I like that, automated. Less like a chore and more, I don't know, set it and forget it. But it's not just talking about a rainy day fund, right? Like, oh, my car broke down kind of
Right. It
thing.
goes way beyond that. It dives into the psychological benefits of a good emergency fund. Like knowing you can handle unexpected expenses, no debt needed, that's huge for peace of mind. Imagine a car repair, a medical bill, whatever. It doesn't derail your entire financial plan. That's powerful stuff.
Seriously, peace of mind, you can't put a price on that. But gotta be real, a lot of people are dealing with debt, not building savings. Does the source address that at all?
Absolutely. It dedicates a whole section to debt management strategies. And it's actually, I was surprised, it's really empathetic to that feeling, like the emotional burden debt carries.
Debt can feel so overwhelming, like you're just stuck treading water forever.
Exactly. But the source has some really practical tips. For example, it suggests prioritizing high-interest loans. Even if you just make small extra payments on those, it can make a big difference in how fast you become debt-free.
It's like that snowball effect we talked about with compounding, but in reverse, you're chipping away at the debt faster and faster.
Precisely. Small, consistent actions, but focused in the right areas, it makes a big difference over time. And the source even suggests celebrating those small wins, to keep yourself motivated.
Oh, that's such a good point. It's so easy to get discouraged when you're dealing with debt, like you'll never dig yourself out. So we've covered budgeting, saving, debt management, the not so fun stuff. What about the exciting stuff like investing?
Yes, investing. That's where the source is really cautious about letting emotions drive your decisions. Remember FOMO, fear of missing out, can lead to some really bad choices.
Like pouring all your savings into the latest meme stock only to watch it tank.
Exactly. The source uses the dot-com bubble as an example, classic case of emotional investing backfiring. Instead, it pushes for a logical approach. Analyze the fundamentals, the risks, before you jump in.
More Warren Buffett, less gambling on Reddit. Got it. But even when we think we're being rational, the source argues we're influenced by these cognitive biases. What does that even mean?
It's fascinating, really. Our brains love shortcuts, which is helpful a lot of the time. But with finance, these shortcuts, they're called cognitive biases, can lead us astray. Big time.
So even if we think we're making logical choices, there might be these hidden forces at play, messing things up.
Exactly. One bias the source focuses on is loss aversion. We feel the pain of a loss way more strongly than the pleasure of an equal gain.
So that's why selling a losing investment is so hard. Even when it makes sense logically, we just hold on, hoping it'll come back.
Exactly. Loss aversion makes us cling to sinking ships, even when the data says otherwise. Financial logic encourages us to recognize these biases, develop strategies to counteract them.
This is all so eye-opening. I'm realizing how much I've let emotions, biases, influence my financial decisions in the past.
It's not about blame. It's about understanding these tendencies we all have and making conscious efforts to overcome them.
So financial logic isn't just about managing money. It's about understanding our own minds, too. Like psychology and finance all rolled into one.
You got it. It's like having a secret weapon, financially speaking, recognizing those hidden enemies that can sabotage your success and neutralizing them.
I love that analogy. But we've been talking a lot about personal finance, our own wallets. Does the source touch on how these principles apply beyond that? Like bigger picture stuff?
That's one thing I find really interesting. The source makes it clear financial logic isn't limited to personal finances. These principles are just as valuable for businesses, community organizations, even just everyday decision-making.
So it's not just about like getting rich. It's about making smarter choices in all areas of life. That's pretty powerful.
It is. And the source gives some specific examples of how these principles translate to those larger contexts. For instance, it talks about how businesses can use data-driven decision-making to assess risks and opportunities.
So financial logic could help a small business owner decide whether to expand, or a nonprofit evaluate the impact of their programs, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Applying those same principles, the logic, the long-term thinking, the data analysis, to any situation where financial decisions are made, makes you realize how widespread this is.
It makes me think about how often we just, make choices based on emotion, tradition, or just what everyone else is doing, without really thinking things through.
That's a great observation. The source really pushes us to question those assumptions, apply a critical lens to all our financial decisions, no matter how big or small.
So it's not about becoming a robot, ignoring our feelings altogether. It's about finding that balance between logic and intuition, using both to our advantage.
That's a great way to put it. Financial logic is about making informed choices, not just reacting emotionally, being in control, you could say.
This has been such an insightful, deep dive into financial logic, I have to say. I'm feeling energized, empowered, like I can actually take control of my finances, make smarter decisions going forward. But before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question, something to ponder. So now that we really dug into this whole financial logic thing, what's one small change, something actionable that our listeners could make today? Start applying it in their own lives.
It doesn't have to be this huge, dramatic overhaul, right? Could be as simple as setting up an automatic transfer just a little bit each month, going straight to your savings account. Or maybe it's finally sitting down and creating that budget, the one you've been putting off.
Even just taking like 5 minutes to read an article about something financial you've been curious about, that's a step in the right direction. Okay.
The key is to start somewhere, anywhere. Financial logic is all about those little choices, those small, consistent actions that, over time, build up, lead to those big results.
It's not about being perfect with it. It's about progress, right? It's about, I don't know, taking control of your finances and then, in a way, taking control of your life.
And doing it in a way that's, well, smart, strategic, and most importantly, sustainable. Not some crash diet for your money that you can't keep up.
We've covered a lot of ground today. We talked about, thinking long-term, assessing the risks, and using data to guide those big decisions.
We explored some practical strategies, too, for budgeting, saving, managing debt, and even making those informed investment choices. And of course, we couldn't leave out the fascinating world of cognitive biases, how they sneak in and mess with our financial decisions.
And we've seen how these principles, this whole financial logic thing, it goes way beyond our own wallets. It applies to businesses, our communities, even those everyday choices we make.
I hope this deep dive has given you, well, a new lens, a new way to look at your finances. And that feeling of being empowered to make smart, logical decisions, the kind that lead to a brighter financial future for yourself, for your family, for whatever matters to you.
And if you're really ready to, master these concepts, dig in deep, we definitely recommend checking out the full source material, Financial Logic, Mastering the Art of Strategic Money Management.
Yeah, it's full of even more insights and strategies, real-life examples to help you along the way. It's a great resource.
And remember, this isn't just about the numbers, right? It's about your mindset. It's about making those intentional choices and taking those consistent actions that can truly transform your financial well-being. It's a journey.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, keep asking those tough questions about your money, about your choices.
And remember, this whole financial logic thing, it's a journey, not a destination. So enjoy the ride and make it a financially savvy one.